it's not just one thing about, yes, we want to be able to find economic development for Guam, but strategically and from a security standpoint, Guam needs to play a critical role in manufacturing, not to hold it 100%. We don't want to manufacture
Yes.
100%, but from a tactical perspective, we need to be able to make things here, to be able to continue the fight if other supply lines get hindered or get cut off.
Half a day, it's your innovation coach, Rob Jackson, and welcome to another edition of the Innovate Guam podcast, a podcast where we explore all things innovation, technology, and improvement related to the island of Guam. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow me on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Substack. My podcasts drop at the beginning of each week. Also, be sure to check out my Innovate column in the Pacific Daily News every first and third Friday of the month. All right, our guest today for today's episode is Mr. Charlie Hermosa. He is no stranger to the podcast. In fact, he kicked off this podcast last year as our very first guest on our very first episode. So we are excited to have him back. Charlie is a Guam entrepreneur, former U.S. Marine, and he's the CEO and co-founder of Bella Wings Aviation, a Guam-based unmanned aviation company, helping push the island from drone services to a real drone industry. Charlie has been building at the intersection of unmanned operations, workforce development, and now local manufacturing and assembly, with an eye towards scaling Guam as a serious node in the Western Pacific drone ecosystem. Some other quick bio highlights. He is an adjunct professor at the University of Guam, where he teaches out of the business department, teaching young people logistics and supply chain courses. And he's a graduate of the United States Merchant Marine Academy. Ladies and gentlemen, I give to you Mr. Charlie Hermosa. Charlie, welcome back.
Half a day, Rob, and thank you so much. It's been a while, and you're right, and I do appreciate it. And for you giving me the honor to be to kick off the podcast a few months back. So I really do appreciate it, and thank you again for having me back. And it's been a journey. 2025 was, I had a lot of ups and a lot of downs. But I've been watching all your podcasts. So if nobody has tuned in yet, I would highly recommend everybody to catch you on a weekly basis, because the subject matters that you brought to the region are very important, and they're going to continue to develop. And it's one of those things where those light bulbs are going to go off when they hear something in the news or they hear something in the industry. They're going to be like, I think Rob touched on that at some point, and they're going to go back and listen to your podcast. And sure enough, because the lineup of duty experts that you've had on the podcast has been absolutely amazing.
I appreciate that, Charlie. Thank you so much. And again, you go past just podcast guests. I like to say you're my brother from another mother. I really bond with you. We think alike, and I really enjoy having conversations with you and spending time with you. So thank you again for being on the podcast.
Absolutely, it's always an honor, Rob.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and jump right into it. Uh, Usually we start off with the icebreaker questions, but we've already been through that in your first interview, so we know where your head is at in terms of innovation. So uh, back when you were on the first time, you were focused on building Guam's early drone ecosystem. Fast forward to today, what's changed and why is 2026 shaping up as a manufacturing moment for Guam?
Well, it's been you hit on the drone industry, and the drone industry is going through a warp speed of advancement here in the United States, within the region. Obviously, we're we're seeing drone technology being advanced because of what's happening in the wartime environment, and it's been able
Mm-hmm.
to change the dynamics of how wars are being fought on the defense side, but also on the commercial side. It's amazing the things that are we're able to use drones for in the construction side per se. So I think that the
Yes.
drone industry as a whole is changing us in light speed right now. It's in warp speed. And one of the things that I was just laughing because you asked, you mentioned the fact that we're trying to build an industry here, and how could you not love where you're talking about drone technology, you're talking about industry and advancement, regional, and then outside I can hear the roosters just singing along, right? I mean, it's such an amazing place. I mean, you can't find this anywhere else in the world, and so one of the things that we've been doing for the last year is really trying to get our regional name out there and show the world that we can do and we can participate in the drone industry. And so we've been talking to a lot of partners and trying to see exactly at what level or at what scale we can actually, work into. And so one of the things that we have been able to accomplish is the fact that uh, the vendors are giving us an opportunity to look at the whole spectrum of manufacturing drones. And so we've been able to pivot from looking at it from a total manufacturing perspective to maybe honing in on being experts at certain elements of the drone component system. And so, having said that, we ventured out in the last couple of months to talk to different OEM type providers that are willing to work with Guam and the CNMI to see if we can actually move some of their production to Guam or the CNMI to produce the components that will eventually go into the U.S. made drones. And so I am free to report, and I'm happy to report that my trip to Taiwan this past week was very successful, and we were able to ink in an MOU with a manufacturer that makes the motors for the drones. And going through the different systems, I am happy to report that we've signed an agreement and an MOU to collaborate on making the motors here in this region between Guam and the CNMI. And that is a huge step for us because that, again, it opens up another door for us to be able to play into the drone industry as a key player, as a key supplier of certain OEM parts. And it's only the first step, and I think that it will open up other doors. It's also, we're still going to continue to work on being able to work with other manufacturers to build drones as a whole system, but we're happy to pivot and play into an OEM space. More than anybody, we've talked about this from an OEM standpoint with other projects that we worked in the past. And so what we really want to do is really open up that door to get us in that world sort of forum so that people can ask the question, what are we doing on Guam? What are we doing in CNMI? And I will tell you, and you're going to see it as well, from a workforce development perspective, I will challenge anybody that says that we don't have the workforce. We have a lot of talent
Yes.
here on the islands. And so, but it's just a matter of giving us the opportunity to be able to showcase that talent through training, through education, through spearheading workforce development forums that we've been able to participate in. And one of the things that is going to be the key driver is the fact that we shouldn't back down. We should take up every single challenge that we're faced with and be able to tell the world that we can do it and we can compete with the rest of the world when it comes to the drone industry. And that's been my whole focus, is really just to put it out there so that people know what we're doing here locally.
Yeah, Charlie, that is huge. That's a huge step forward. Um, in the recent article that I wrote in the Pacific Daily News, I was talking and featuring what you were doing over at Bella Wings Aviation and making the argument that this is the time where we can kind of move up and evolve in our place in the drone and robotics ecosystem. So it's great to see in real time that's actually happening. Innovation leaders, it's your innovation coach, Rob Jackson here. Are you ready to elevate your vehicle fleet operations? Fleet Solutions is an AI enabled fleet management system. Fleet Solutions provides real time video, smart analytics, and total efficiency. Keep your people safe and keep your business moving forward faster than ever before. Fleet Solutions, arriving tomorrow, today. Visit thefleetsolutions.net or call 671-988-9748 to schedule your personalized demo and revolutionize your fleet operations today. So you talked about your partners in Taiwan. Can you talk a little bit more detail about who they are and what kind of value add that they saw and why they would want to move some of their production capability to a place like Guam? What was the value add for them?
Well, there was a couple of things, and I think, like, for example, the president of the company, he 15 years ago when he got married, they came to Guam for their honeymoon. So
Ah,
that was number one. That was sort of our icebreaker about them knowing Guam and how beautiful it is and how amazing it would be great to work here and collaborate with Guam.
yes.
So the relationship aspect between Taiwan and Guam is very strong. And I think that they wanted to be able to capitalize on that relationship. The second thing is they want to work and collaborate and build a stronger relationship with the U.S. Government, and we're a U.S. territory, so we're only 3.5 hours away from them. And the fourth thing is the fact that there is an added value for having products made in the U.S., Guam, USA. And so they felt that the time was now to be able to work on these collaborations and be able to look at the different products, because obviously they could take care of their own industry in Taiwan and in Asia, but they also want to work and try to see if they can get into the U.S. Space as well. And so that's where we come in. That's where Guam and that's where CNMI comes in, because we're sort of a catalyst to be able to work with companies that want to set up shop here. We can work with their development. We can work with light assembly. We can work with light manufacturing, and get those products made here on Guam and the CNMI, and then ship them back to the mainland U.S. to different vendors. And so it just works out. It just seems like it's a great relationship between the company. This specific company is called CRG, and they're actually the leading component. They're a leading manufacturer in the motor space. And one of the things when we went into their factories is they work closely with a lot of motors to do with like fans, with ceiling fans. So they have a lot of knowledge when it comes to understanding the capacity of what it is to manufacture these motors. And so the drone space is really very key to them, and they see a huge upside in the next 5 to 10 years, which we all have been talking about. And one of the things that we had mentioned is that once we get past the defense side, and we scale to the levels that our government wants us to scale to when it comes to drone production. We're going to go back into the logistics aspect of being able to move goods around using drones, medical supplies, food supplies throughout the islands. And then the other topic that's really, as much as people will kind of give me a third eye every time I mention it, is the drone pod, right? We're gonna have our
Mm.
personal own, we're gonna have our own drones flying us everywhere. And I will tell you that within a year, we'll probably within a year and a half, I would say we should see the first one here on Guam. But within,
Really?
yeah,
You
I
think
would say
that soon?
I would say if we can get the capital, we could probably get it even sooner. And so I think that I actually reached out to the company out in Europe because one of the things that I was stating to them was the fact that if you needed somewhere where you needed to do R&D and further the advancement of getting some great data, uh, come out here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Come out here.
This is a great test bed, great sandbox to do research and development on it. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's huge. And I can see the value add. We're going to talk about it a little bit later on about kind of the executive orders that have come down from the federal government and other policy kind of things. But do you think that was kind of a forcing function for this Taiwanese company to be able to get that made in Guam, essentially made in USA kind of sticker so that all of the federal government policy initiatives to ensure American dominance and American made parts in the drone supply chain were happening? And this was their way to kind of get into the middle of that.
Yeah, absolutely. That was definitely a strong point that they looked at. But when you look at the components, when you look at the makeup of a lot of the drones, a good percentage of the components come from Taiwan. And so one of the things that
Mm,
they want to do is just to ensure that they have a clear, they want to continue to flesh out the different supply chains that they have going into the mainland US and being able to work through different vendors that we could potentially help them with and reach markets that maybe they were not able to reach directly from Taiwan into the mainland US. But having the power to collaborate with Guam is an edge that they're going to have. And so we want to be able to create that for them. And so if we can make those products and we can assemble, light assemble, OEM it here on Guam and CNMI, we will have, we can open up a lot more doors in the mainland US with the different vendors, different providers. And it would open up also, Rob, you know more than anybody, from a logistical and supply chain perspective, having another option to source materials or OEM parts from is very important. So if for some reason, like for example, if Florida is the leader in OEM, in motors for drones, let's just say, and they get, unfortunately, if they get hit with a hurricane, their warehouse shuts down. You need to have an alternative option to be able to source motors. But
yes.
now, you have Guam also. You have Guam, you have California, you have Texas. So we want to be able to play into that space. We want to give. We don't want to say that we want to make 100%. No, we just want to be able to play maybe a 10%, 15% in the market, and have alternative solutions for the different vendors, right? And so that's how I'm looking at it.
Absolutely. So let me play devil's advocate here and put on that cap and say the quiet part out loud. Uh, is there any concern with this being a Taiwanese company that that there's concern about undue foreign influence or um, technology owned by Taiwan versus America? Is there any kind of foreign uh, concerns that America should be concerned about, particularly for those drones that are being made for the defense industry?
No, absolutely not. I think I think we're both on the same page. I think Taiwan follows, and I think they've taken the step well ahead of of us when it came to uh, making sure that the components that they're using within all their systems internal to their hardware was not Chinese made. So they've actually banned that a while back. You talked about policies that have come down from the federal government this year, and we've taken those similar steps now, but they've been doing it for the last year and a half. And so one of the things they're able to do is just to ensure that the components that they're using are safe and not Chinese made, and that's one of the drivers that they're trying to push.
Outstanding. Thank you. I wanted to get that out there because a lot of people might be thinking about that. And again, it's kind of analogous to our semiconductor industry. Most of the semiconductors and most of the chips that we rely on for all of our high tech stuff in America comes from Taiwan. So it's kind of analogous to that when you say.
Oh, absolutely, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to ensure that I met in person, face to face, with our partners in Taiwan, and we flushed and we worked through that because we don't want to sidestep any issue. We don't want to sidestep any policy that the federal government has put in place, and so that was a huge topic of discussion, and we were able to work through all the sort of devil advocate type issues that have come up. And that's the one thing that I wanted to ensure, because it's not just the fact that we want to push an industry, but we also want to ensure that the security aspect of what we're doing is in line with the policies that is going to protect us here locally, but also in line with the policies that the federal government wants us to follow.
Yes, yes. So you've been saying Guam and the CNMI. So that's very exciting that, you know, it sounds like there's going to be production capability, not just on the island Guam, but also elsewhere in the region. Can you talk to that a little bit? What's the specifics about where else in Micronesia?
No, absolutely. And for Bella Wings, we have, for DWA, we had originally tried to set up a small light manufacturing in the CNMI in Saipan a couple years back. But with COVID, some budgetary issues that unfortunately that the island was facing, we had to scale back and kind of put things on hold. But we're going to reengage with our partners there in Saipan, CNMI. And one of the areas that we're looking at is they've developed and they're promoting their tax incentives, because they do have a free trade zone that they've actually had for years, that they're trying to actually promote and develop. We're just kind of trying to get that up and running on Guam, but the CNMI already has that. So I want to be able to balance things out where we can utilize the uh, the CNMI as a means to be able to get some things done there as well. We Governor Palacios in the past had mentioned, is there anything that we could look at doing in Rhoda, right? Because the Rhoda has some really good infrastructure, and one of the things that they saw was a decrease in opportunities to be able to continue to grow the island and bring more economic development to the island before other round of folks leave the island. And so, that's another area that we're trying to look at, is how we can utilize the current infrastructure with islands such as Rhoda, and then Guam itself as well. So that's why I say Guam and CNMI, but it's the region as well, because we also look at Palau, we also look at FSM as just great opportunities as well. So we want to be able to kind of play into the regional aspect, and I think we will. But right now, once we get started, the Guam and CNMI kind of flush those things out. I think that the next step is more regional focus, to be able to put the flag on these island nations as well.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So let's shift gears and jump up to kind of like the 30,000 foot level. At the national level, the policy environment really shifted in 2025. You saw the White House executive order on unleashing American drone dominance, the Defense Secretary or Secretary of War's memo on unleashing U.S. military drone dominance. When you read those documents, what jumps out as the biggest opportunity for Guam-based manufacturers?
When you read those documents, the biggest thing, that when I first read it, I said, finally, it cut through the red tape, because the procurement process for you to be able to kind of work through some of these systems that were uh, already being developed on the mainland side, you had a handful of companies that were sort of quote unquote leading the way on the drone technology, but we weren't really advancing. And so we were just spending a lot more money and not really putting anything out um, into the sector. And so I think with this drone dominance, it allowed companies that had been doing this for years open up their door. It opened up the door for other companies to come in and partake in this drone technology advancement. And that's one of the things that I felt like these policies really set forth, the fact that it allowed for other companies to really play in a space, and we're seeing that now. The advancement of these drones is because commercial companies, not government run department, not government run programs, but commercial companies coming into the space and say, we've been doing this for years. Let us help
Yeah.
you. And so now you saw the magnitude, and you see all these companies now really playing into the heart of the drone advancement.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk a little bit, and we touched upon this before, um, the National Defense Industrial Strategy, you know, and its implementation plan, emphasizing resilient supply chains, workforce readiness, and Indo-PACOM deterrence. Where does Guam fit into this, especially with the logic that sustainment and production must move closer to where the forces operate? Can you talk to that?
Absolutely, and I think you and I come from the sort of military mindset where we always have to think outside the box because we've operated in areas where you just can't pick up the phone or you have access to everything that you would as if you were back at home in the rear.
Right.
And so when you look at that and you look at the makeup of how the supply chain and how robust the supply chain needs to be, you need to ensure that you sort of have a decentralized system, that you have the capability to reach out to Hawaii, that you have the ability to reach out to Guam, you have the ability to reach out to South Korea, you have the ability to reach out to the Philippines. I mean, so the sort of the decentralized notion is very important, and I think Guam needs to play into the reach back when it comes to resupply. And so, in order for us to be able to resupply, obviously, we're going to get in inventory that we can resupply our forces with throughout the region. But we also have a notion of manufacturing. We also need to make things here locally that would allow us to continue to push out things and gear that our folks would need in case lines get cut off from Hawaii, lines get cut off from the West Coast, lines get cut off from all different supply points that we have. At least we have a good amount of percentage coming out from Guam that would allow us to continue to fight. And that's sort of the notion that I've been trying to promote. It's the fact that it's not just one thing about, yes, we want to be able to find economic development for Guam, but strategically and from a security standpoint, Guam needs to play a critical role in manufacturing, not to hold it 100%. We don't want to manufacture
Yes.
100%. But from a tactical perspective, we need to be able to make things here to be able to continue the fight if other supply lines get hindered or get cut off.
Absolutely. So what I hear is that you're a passionate advocate for the idea that Guam needs to play a very significant and important role as a node in the Department of War's sustainment, uh, supply and support chain, if you will, in the Indo-PACOM region. For years now, it's played a role, but it's really been a role as a gas stop or a place to park forces, if you will. What you're saying is in the new economy and in the 21st century, it needs to be part of the production supply chain, not just in terms of producing new stuff and stocking new stuff, but also in the repair aspect to be able to repair, have the capability to repair different things so that it's providing more capability for the forces way out here on the tip of the spear. Did I get that right?
Absolutely. And you talk about repair. That's another line of discussion that we need to have because obviously ship repair should be inherent to what we do here in this region. Uh,
Yes.
unfortunately, unfortunately, it's been a struggle for the powers that be to understand that this should be a hub for maintenance aspects of our fleet. And so hopefully, I think we've made great strides to get the powers that be to understand that this needs to be Guam needs to be an area where it's critical to the repair of our fleet, which is very important. And
Yes.
and also, I think you pretty much hit it. Is the fact that um, Guam needs to be the focal point, not just a gas stop. It has to serve as a key component to the entire supply chain. And so, when I mean supply chain, I mean we want to be able to push out manufacturing things that we're things that we're producing here on the island to continue the fight hold inventory. Again, when you look at it from a supply chain perspective, we need to make sure that we have the entire package here on Guam, and not just stop, refuel, and then get out. We want to be able to play in. And the other part that I want to make sure that I throw out there as well, Rob, is that uh, we have a lot of commercial knowledge here locally in all the
Yes.
aspects from a business perspective. If we can have some way to be able to collaborate and match what the military and the government wants to do with current commercial applications that we have here on Guam, and we put them together, that will advance. That in itself will be an economic development for a lot of the companies that we have here locally, to be able to work with the military government, with the military and the government.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to say, like, amen, hallelujah, brother, because you are preaching, preaching to the choir in this case. But let's talk about it from a practical standpoint. If the federal government and the Department of War truly want to achieve this, making Guam this Fort production and Fort sustainment node, what are the top three things that they need to start doing in 2026 and beyond to make that happen, in Charlie Hermosa's humble opinion?
In my humble opinion, if you look at history, Rob, if you look at the manufacturing industry, and if you look at our previous wars, World War I, World War II, the Industrial Revolution really came about from these wars. And so I'm not saying that we're going to go into war right now, but what I'm saying is, when we look at from a buildup perspective, if the military and the government are going to set up some type of manufacturing to support their needs, let the local commercial aspect play into it as well. Because once everything kind of calms down, everybody's living peacefully, we could then turn in those. Um, we can then turn, like, for example, if we have warehouses that are producing manufacturing things for the warfighter, we can then turn that into a commercialized way to be able to support the needs of the region. And so, we got to look at how we're going to see ourselves within the next 5 to 10 years. And I think that if we can collaborate with the military, if the commercial side can collaborate with the military here, after everything's sort of calm and everybody's living peacefully, we can turn that into more of a commercialized operation, and support ourselves here within the region. If we have those systems right now, we don't have that collaboration. We've seen Little Realm. We've seen a little bit of trying to spark that, but we haven't really seen the full breadth of what we can do here. And I think that how we see ourselves in the next 5 to 10 years is going to be, the foundation is going to come with what we do in 2026. And so I believe that everything that we do in the military and with the government should translate and should have a partnership with a commercial aspect of companies, local companies here, so that when everything sort of is calm, it will convert into more of a commercialized operation that can support the region. That's how I see it.
Yeah, that's a great point, and I agree with that 100%. In doing that, who are the real movers and shakers in the Department of War who can make this happen? Is it JRM? Is it JTF Micronesia? Is it Indo-PACOM? Or does it all go all the way back to the Pentagon itself? Where are the right levers, and who are the right people who can make those decisions to start opening up this door and moving this forward?
I think it starts. I think it definitely starts here locally, with the folks, say, from JRM, or from Camp Blas, or from Anderson, or from Big Navy. I think that those leaders need to be able to report back and have a good notion of what that would look like and what it would take to really develop something like that, where that partnership, when it comes to manufacturing, what that would look like with the local workforce and so forth. So I think it starts here, Rob, because we need the powers that be here locally to really promote us.
Mm.
In DC. In DC, I believe the power is still going to hold with DC. But one of the things that I've seen is that a lot of folks will be making decisions back in Washington D.C. without even ever setting foot on Guam, and so they'll make they'll put plans together,
Assumptions.
but they will make a lot of assumptions, right? They will make a lot of assumptions, and it's not until they take that trip and they land and we walk them through and they go out to the other islands and to our neighbors and they go down to Palau, FSM, that they truly see and understand the dynamics of what we've been talking about. And so that is why I say that we need folks here to really promote and cheerlead for us out in the Pentagon. But then we also need the folks in the Pentagon to come out here and understand the reality of what we've been talking about and understand the capabilities that we have, and not just assume that because we're so far out in the Western Pacific that we don't have the means to be able to compete with the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, in my recent Pacific Daily News article, I made the argument that the Department of War really needed to set Guam and Indo-PACOM specific demand and production targets to really unleash an industry response. So, in your humble opinion, what would an effective demand signal look like from where you're sitting?
I think right now, from where I'm sitting, I think the we have a couple of low hanging fruits, right, that we could initiate that would kind of signal to the world what we're trying to, for so ship repair. That's a low hanging fruit. I think we have the capabilities. I think we have the commercial aspect of being able to have companies here that can do the work. And so I think that that's a very good low hanging fruit that we've been trying to push. And I think it's just a matter of and again, I'm just saying that this is probably easier said than done, but it's just a matter of somebody in the powers that be in the Pentagon or in the White House to say, yeah, let's go ahead and turn it on. And we have the companies ready to do it right now. And so, there's no reason why we can't turn that light on fairly quickly. We've also seen a big push, and in your article, um, about Astro America, right? With the capability to 3D print, and that's another key aspect. And I think that that type of technology is really going to fill a void when it comes to time sensitive things that we will need to be able to play into ship repair, when it comes to aircraft repair. Those things are going to be very critical across the board. But that's where we start looking both from a military to commercial as well, because for example, we still have a huge maintenance facility in our airport for, say, United and a lot of our other airlines that come through here, and so they need parts as well. So maybe
Yes.
they can focus on supporting the Air Force and our aircrafts, but at the same time, maybe support our other commercial industries as well. And that's what I was talking about when it comes to the collaboration that could really put us in a different level when it comes to being able to flesh out our supply chain. But that's how I see it. A couple low hanging fruits there that we can definitely push forward and turn the lights on and really get it going.
Yeah. So everybody has a role to play on the Gov Guam side. What do you think must change to make this industry scaling happen? What kind of improvements, what kind of changes need to happen for Gov Guam?
That's a good question. I think obviously from a Gov Guam perspective, I think that they need to also do a little bit of cutting the red tape, right? I think we need to be able to flesh out locally to be able to work with local partners, but they also need to have the ability to rally the folks that are really moving things forward together and really promote the fact that we can. I don't really see a lot of promotion on the manufacturing, light assembly, how we're going to partner up and how we're going to collaborate. So we need to do a better job when it comes to that. I know we have a lot of meetings with high level folks that come to Guam, because we're always trying to invite them to come here versus us going there, because we want them to see the island. We want them to see our people here locally. So I think that we need to continue those type of discussions, but we need to like almost put a, as you and I have spoken in the past, we almost need to put a deck together, uh, and
Mm,
and
yeah.
that deck outlines all our capabilities, everything that we can do when it comes
Yes.
to that military and government space. As far as the utilization of the infrastructure that we have, when it comes to people, when it comes to schools, I mean, you name it. And so I
Yeah.
think we need to do a better job on creating that deck.
Yeah, I like that deck idea. That actually goes back to another earlier article that I wrote about posing something called a Guam Aerospace and Defense Alliance. So similar to like a lot of different states and communities in the CONUS, that they have a group of folks who work to market that specific region, that specific municipality for government and defense workloads to come here. And they market that, and they work with the government uh, at the local level to say, okay, if you want this workload to come here, here are the things that you need to change and improve. So that becomes part of the local government's agenda to start working and making those changes so that it will attract that workload and that business there. But this is like a full-time alliance committee or whatever to make it more easy for industry as well as defense workload to come to their area. And they're constantly marketing that. I think Guam needs something similar to that. Guam Aerospace and Defense Alliance.
I completely agree with you. It's almost like sort of a quasi Gita focused on really telling our story, right? And putting that deck out to the world so that they can see the capabilities that we have. I completely agree. I completely agree with you, Rob.
Yeah, it's like Gita on steroids, focusing on
Right.
one specific industry in order to have an impact. Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. And the other part that I would say on that is we have the people that can do it here. We have the
Yes.
people. We have, and
We
that's
have the people who have the talent and the knowledge and the connections and all of that to make this happen. This isn't like rocket science. We can do this,
absolutely. And
and
so
we can make a credible argument that's a win-win agreement. It's not just there to promote Guam for Guam's sake. No, this makes geostrategic sense to do this. You need this as well as we need this. We can make this argument.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things that I would go back to when I said, we need to be able to, if we can, within GovGuam, really cut out the red tape. And I think we need to kind of make sure that we flush all that out. And that's one of the reasons why we pivoted and looked at it more on what on Bella Wings is doing, is more focusing in on the OEM part of this manufacturing aspect of the drone industry, because we want to be able to open that door, but we also want to show the world that we can do it. And that's we just need a couple of we need just one little spark, Rob. We need one little spark to
Yeah,
get this going, because like you said, we have the talent, we have the workforce. We just need that one opportunity to showcase to the world that we look what we're doing and we can do it. And I think it's just a
yes.
matter of time. Honestly, I think it's just a matter of time before we get this really up and going. We get this one opportunity really up and running, and then we'll just take off from there.
Yeah, yeah. So let me ask you a question. Um, do you see a connection with what you're doing with Bellowings Aviation in this latest initiative to your work with the transshipment task force that the government of Guam was working on? Because this is almost like the very beginnings of testing a light manufacturing capability to prove out some of the things that were being talked about in the transshipment task force, or do you see it differently?
No, absolutely. They go hand in hand. I think one of the reasons why we went and developed the task force was because we wanted to flesh out what it would take for us to be able to develop a light manufacturing, light assembly uh, production here on Guam. And so, going through the different steps that we've done in the task force, it has allowed us to go through the different things that highlighted the weaknesses and the strengths that we had. And so that really played well.
Yeah. Okay, so if Guam becomes this real drone manufacturing and sustainment node, what kind of jobs are we talking about? What kind of things are we going to see? Technicians, assemblers, composite work, electronics, software, what?
Yeah, so all of that is going to take into we're going to look at engineers, electricians, and one of the things, the beauty about all this is the fact that technology is a huge driver, and so one of the things that we're looking at right now is more of the trades perspective as well, and so that's going to be a huge aspect. So folks that can manage the electrical aspect, folks that can do engineering, folks that can do assembly, right? I mean, using their hands to put things together, and so understanding how to program, all that is going to come into part of everything that we're gonna do.
Yeah, so with this new agreement and this new initiative from Bellwings Aviation, do you envision hiring more workforce in the next 12 to 24 months? And do you envision like maybe moving into a larger industrial space, or is that something further down the road?
No, absolutely. We definitely want to continue to grow. We definitely want to continue to hire more people. This collaboration with our partners from Taiwan is going to allow us to really look into uh, more of a trades aspect, because a lot of the technical aspect of putting these motors together is electrical, ensuring that everything is well connected, making sure that the power is running well, making sure that the torque, all these things that we talked about at our meeting was very, for me, it was very, again, very learning. I learned a lot from this trip because of all the aspects of, it's not just putting a motor together, but it's the pitch, ensuring that it has the right pitch, making sure that it has the right torque. So everybody has to be trained on ensuring they know how to measure, because the tools and the machines that they use, they're pretty interesting, right? I mean, I'm sure you've seen them during your time in the Air Force on testing out propellers and all that good stuff, motors. So it was pretty interesting to see exactly how they test the propellers and their motors in indoor environments. And then they simulate outdoor environments with temperature, with mist. So they look at the pitch, they look at the torque. And so they have these machines that are reading the torque. It's got to be at a certain level. It was just absolutely, it was amazing to see all that goes into it. And now we have to bring that back here and develop sort of that team that would be able to do the same thing and mirror what we're doing in Taiwan. We're going to mirror here. But the beauty about all this is the fact that it always comes down to one thing. It comes down to training. I mean,
Yes.
we didn't go to school. I didn't go to school to understand how motors work, right? I mean, nobody. I mean, maybe there are some engineers, right, that have gone through that pipeline. But if we develop a training program, we're going to get the workforce. And it comes down to being able to develop, but we need to have that vision of what that workforce is going to look like. And once we have that vision and we match it up with training, we're going to have the workforce. So that's why I always say, I will go head to head and I will challenge anybody that says that we don't have the workforce here locally, because we do. But it takes training. It takes training our people to understand what the needs of what we're looking for, and then matching them up with making ensure that we give them the tools to succeed. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's been great.
Yeah. So speaking directly to Guam's youth, what opportunities exist in the drone industry beyond just being a pilot? You touched on some of them right now and talking about aligning, but if you could kind of give some more specifics.
And no, absolutely. So when it comes to the drone industry, there's a lot of technical aspects that are going into. So, for example, being able to develop new software to be able to, again, the autonomous flying is really sort of the future buzzword, right? I mean, autonomous is going to be how the drones are going to be flown. So being able to understand the software development when it comes to that is very key. When it comes to the technical aspect, understanding the electrical is very important, and that's a trade that GCC can put together. That's a trade that maybe somebody that goes through the engineering program on the University of Guam can get as well. Manufacturing, when it comes to manufacturing, is understanding the different levels of, for example, we talked about injection molding, right? What does that
Yes.
look like, right? What does that look like?
Yeah.
So really
Yeah.
important discussions. And it comes from design, right? You design something and then you put it into the injection molding, and it's got to come out to the degree and the specs that you told it to produce. And so that's more of an engineering aspect. So electrical engineering is also very important. Mechanical engineer is also very important. So all these things are going to be part of the evolution when it comes to the workforce development.
Yeah. So if I'm a 17 or 18-year-old young Guamanian, right, and I want to be part of this drone future, like what classes, certifications, habits, or communities should I plug into or pursue?
I think right now, my biggest piece of advice is don't give up in the notion that you want to look at something specific. And what I mean by that is because when you're 16, 17, you're a senior in high school and you're being asked, well, so what are you going to do? And you say, well, I'm going to go to college or I'm going to go to the university. But don't lose the fact that trades, if you want to say that you want to become an electrician, that's very important as well. And so don't give up don't give up on the notion that you want to focus on something specific, like you like putting things together. What does that look like? I mean, does that mean that you want to be on the mechanical engineering side, or you want to work on electrical, if you want to work on aerospace, if you want to look on. So I think that for me, trades is my sort of, I want to be able to promote the trade side aspect of what we're doing, because we've worked closely with folks that don't necessarily have a 4-year degree, but they're very technical
Yeah.
on what it takes to be able to put a drone together. Very important.
Yeah. So can you talk to some of the specific programs that exist today that a young person can get involved with, like at GCC or UOG? Because there's some things out there right now, right, that people can get involved in the drone industry.
Oh, absolutely. Obviously from the UOG aspect, the NASA Space Grant it's a great program where students can go through, both from GCC and the University of Guam can go through, and in partnership with EcoFly, they go through a program where they get FAA certified. So you get your FAA Part 107 license, which is what you would need to be able to become a commercial pilot. So if you fly commercially and you want to get paid, you need to have an FAA Part 107 license. So you go through that program, and then part of that is also an internship. So you learn the ins and outs of how to utilize this FAA Part 107 certification within the school aspect of utilizing drones. So data collection, mapping, construction, all these things that they can run through sort of in the real world scenario aspect. GCC also has some great programs when it comes from technical, electrical is a big one. But the Trades Academy also has amazing programs as well. So, the Trades Academy for me kind of hones in on specific areas that I think that you can concentrate in on, whether it's even plumbing, right? I mean, when you look at data centers, I was talking to somebody that they need more plumbers, they need more electricians, and so
Yeah.
HVAC is huge. Um, AC technicians. I mean, it's unbelievable. And obviously that when you look
Can't
at
produce enough on Guam where it's
cannot
always in the 80s.
cannot. And so,
Yeah.
the other, if I can just do a quick plug also, I'm also the president for the Guam ACTE, the Career Tech and Technology, and so the that aspect is huge because one of the things that we're trying to work is really create that bridge between what we want to teach our kids at a younger age, and ensure that the teachers also understand exactly what those pipelines look like, and then match them up with potential partners, business partners. So we have the school and we have the business partners. We want to be able to create that bridge so that the folks that are teaching our kids understand what the business partners are looking for. And so within the Guam ACTE, it's been really great to be able to push that out there as well.
Yeah, that's a great organization. And like you said, that huge value add, being that bridge between real world industry and the educators. And I fully support all the work that they do. So finally, wrapping it up, Charlie, you're looking down the road, maybe 5 years, 10 years from now. What would make you say, we did it? Guam did it. We built a real drone industry. What would that look like for you?
Yeah, you know what? I dream about that. I dream about that every single day, and I think it goes beyond just the drone industry. I think that uh, 5, 10, 15 years from now, when we're walking through a tech park, or an industry park down south, where we've developed an environment for everybody on the island to prosper and have a job, infrastructure in place to be able to move as fast as the world is moving, would be my dream. My dream is to ensure that the island uh, levels up to where it should be, and it doesn't take away from the beautiful island aspect that we promote, our beaches, our people, our our nature, our cultural aspect of living on Guam. It doesn't take away from that. But if we can walk through this park, and we see our people working, having great jobs on the tech side, on the pharmaceutical side, and then going home to their neighborhoods, which is by the beach. It just doesn't take away from the beauty of living on Guam. That's my dream. My dream is to be able to uh, really put Guam at a level where it competes with the world, but not taken away from the beauty and the cultural aspect of what the island represents.
Wow, Charlie, thank you for an incredible conversation and for sharing your vision for building drone manufacturing, sustainment, and workforce capability right here on Guam. This could mean so much for our economy, our youth, and more importantly, the strategic role of our country here in the Indo Pacific. To our audience, I hope you learned something. I certainly did. Thank you for listening. Be sure to follow, like, and share and subscribe. And don't forget to check out my Innovate column in the Pacific Daily News every first and third Friday of each month. See you next time. And remember, whether you're at work, at home, or at play, always innovate. Thank you.